Hey there, Minnesota Vikings fans. You are listening to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle West. We got a full house this week. I'm accompanied by Kyle Smith.
What's going on, everybody?
How's it going, sir?
Pretty good. Victory Monday.
You betcha. We got Adam Carlson back with us. Adam.
I'm here this week.
You? Yeah, glad to have you.
I am getting over being quite sick, so I'm kind of surprised I was able to make it this time, but I'm here from coughing a little bit. That's why, and it's also the reason why the beard's gone, is the sickness.
I know what you mean. I just got over a cold myself, too, and it gets kind of gross sometimes. The stuff gets caught in the beard.
Yeah, it had to go.
Yeah.
To keep it a little bit, not disgusting. It's just,
It's supper time for lots of folks. We won't discuss them right now.
What we are here to discuss is Minnesota Vikings football, of course.
It's a good segue. It's like we planned that. We don't.
The number written down here is episode 221, which seems high, but it could be accurate.
It is.
That is accurate.
I changed it from last week earlier since I did my one thing for the notes this week.
Nice.
Hey.
This episode is titled Texans Chainsaw Massacre,
which I love. How have we never used that as a show title before?
I don't think we've played the Texans, have we?
We played them the year that we went to the Super Bowl. Jeez. We played them the last time we went to the playoffs, minus last year. I think it was the Christian Ponder AP year, and we put a hurting on them. But it's been a long time. Plus, I think it was later in the season, so this is perfect since it's about to be Halloween.
I think I made a Matt Schaub joke back then.
Yes, you did.
Probably.
Which is never ever ill-timed, by the way. Matt Schaub jokes are always welcome here.
But both Mr. West and I, huge fans of horror, gore movies, scary stuff, Halloween, that kind of thing. So fits in pretty good along with the time of year. And, of course, let's be honest, the Vikings just beat the Texans down. There's no way around it.
It was a brutal beatdown.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that game a little bit later. But first, let's hit some quick hits. And like I said before, if I'm coughing or sniffing a little bit, it's because I am getting over a little bit of an illness. And I apologize if you're booming this through your stereo on the way and a sneeze breaks your speakers or something. That's my apologies.
We'll just get you
but let's start
some
with
of the purple
news.
Kool-Aid, Adam. That'll help you.
Oof. Ecto Cooler, that's what I've been rocking.
Cold.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Let's start with the offensive line news. The sad news today that just came out as I was walking in the door here about 20 minutes before the show. I found out that offensive tackle Andre Smith was placed on IR and that Jeremiah Sarles will probably be replacing him at right tackle. He's done a pretty good job coming in and filling in at the spot. But this does leave the Vikings in another weird spot now where I don't believe they have another official tackle on the roster at the moment.
Willie Beavers.
I believe he's listed as a guard.
We could add – I mean, there's really no good way to say it, but at least this came at the bye week. I mean, the day after, we have, 12 days now, I think. So –
yeah, the team's bringing in some options. They're checking out what they've got. There is some other spots that could use a little bit of help on the offensive line as well, but overall, this will be something that Vikings fans will have to watch because Andre Smith was a pretty decent run blocker, and we got TJ Clemmings, who held down right tackle last year. He's over at left tackle because Khalil's gone. It's just been a weird shifting of players around, and so far Tony Sperano has gotten that to work. But you can only run for so long on when you have pieces that don't quite fit. Like I had a car that I bought for $100. I used a pencil and duct tape to keep the engine in place for a while, and that pencil and duct tape eventually fell apart. So you gotta have.
It's been a rash of injuries.
Yeah,
injuries for the Vikings, and they are running in a couple positions right now. And that brings us to the next quick hit, Adam. There is a rumor, we're going to say a rumor, that Jake Long could be coming to help his line. Now, Jake Long was the former number 1 overall pick by the Miami Dolphins. He has some head coach of the Dolphins, was there with him when he was drafted in Miami. Now he's with the Vikings. So he come to the team on a veteran minimum 1-year contract and see what he can do. That has caught up to him. So who knows what kind of shape he would be in. But at this point, we need help out there. So, if they can bring him in during this bye week, I'm all for it.
I'm having audio problems with Mr. West. I don't know if it's just me or if it's everybody that's having that problem. I can make out what he's saying, but it might just be my internet. I don't know.
Yeah, I was having the same thing. It was in and out, but I got what you were saying. The Vikings are going to bring in, at least the rumor is, Jake Long, former number 1 overall pick, and I'm with you, Kyle. The more help, the better. I mean, knock on wood, what else can happen? I mean, we've lost so many people as is, and I hate to keep. I don't want to sound like a complainer because Zimmer and the team wouldn't say that, but I'm like, can we catch a freaking break, man? But going in, like I said, I guess the way you can spin this bad news about Andre Smith is at least it came the day after a win, and we're going into a bye week. So obviously we don't play Sunday, and then we'll play next Sunday after that. So I don't know. Bring them in. Might as well. I mean, it's worth a shot. An extra body's better than not having another. Like Adam said, I don't know if we have another tackle on the roster. So we might be shifting some guys around again if things don't work out with Jake Long.
Yeah, I expect plenty of guys will be brought in to be given a look. Probably not signing many of them, but there will be plenty of guys coming in. This offensive line is one area where the Vikings thought they brought in, stockpiled enough talent so they could have competition in spots, have some depth, and injuries have just wiped their way right through that whole list of guys that they had. Really kind of disappointing to see how that worked out because this offensive line really needs to protect Sam Bradford. They need to make running holes since Adrian Peterson isn't there. Jerick McKinnon, Matt Asiata so far this year have not been the most impressive on the ground. And finding offensive linemen who can excel in both the run game and pass protection is very rare in today's NFL. And finding one in free agency, even harder.
Yeah, just picking up a super talent off the street's pretty rare, but I don't know. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things. I'm going to start plugging that in the show. Stranger things have happened this season, so we'll see. I got my fingers crossed, man. Maybe he looks good. Maybe we'll give him a look. Maybe he'll impress us and add some depth there. God knows we need it.
Very true. Very true. All right, moving on. We've got Kyle Rudolph and his wife Jordan welcomed some twin girls last Tuesday night. Their names are Anderson Kate and Finley Claire. Interesting names.
Mm-hmm. So that's 2 girls, correct? I didn't see. I saw the photo. I didn't see what this.
Twin girls. It says
that's
here.
Correct.
Woo, mm-hmm. Good luck, Rudy.
Yeah.
He can probably afford a nanny, so it'll be okay.
That's true. Maybe Jordan can stay at home if she wants to, If not, join the workforce, get a little bit of help around the house. They got it under control.
Mm-hmm.
They got it. But it's really cool to see that happening with Kyle Rudolph, especially during a season when he is doing really well statistically, catching some touchdowns, getting more involved than he has in the past. He seems to have a bit of a connection going with Sam Bradford, especially in the red zone. He seems to be the guy that the quarterback looks to make the plays. So it's a good time to be Kyle Rudolph, aside from the fact that he's fighting through some injuries to be on the field, but he's fighting.
Yeah, I was real surprised yesterday. I'm glad we didn't do Kyle made a real bold prediction in the chat before the game yesterday. I should have went with my gut because I was going to say Adam Thielen, who had a monster day yesterday, and we'll talk about. But man, old Kyle Rudolph's been on a roll, except for yesterday. He didn't get a touchdown yesterday, but he was still a big part of the game. Like I said, I thought, like everyone else, that maybe Diggs would be his favorite target. But when it comes to scoring, man, he's been almost unstoppable. So
I do anticipate that will turn into Treadwell at some point this season. I don't know when, and I don't see them turning away from what's currently working. I mean, getting Thielen on the field for more snaps has been a recipe for success.
Right.
But right now, with all the other success going on for Kyle Rudolph, it's hard not to be happy for him. It's a great time to be
It's
Kyle
good.
Rudolph.
It's good. I'm sure you guys have heard me complain about it before, but with the money that he got paid, with underproducing that thus far, this is a good way to keep going, earn your paycheck, because he had a little price tag on him. But I love the guy, man. He's a stand-up guy. He's a good guy off the field as well. He's got a good foundation, does a lot of charity work, all that good stuff. So it's good to see him going out there and putting his name around, because a lot of the analysts through this first quarter and a game into the season have talked a lot about him. It's good to hear him talking about him.
Absolutely. Moving on to Sam Bradford. Now, we know that he's been the Vikings quarterback for 4 weeks. Now he's got a bye week, and he is still picking up things out of the playbook, picking up the code words, getting to mesh with his receivers, getting to know his offensive linemen a little bit better, and what's left of him, I guess. But now they're going to use code words for Sam Bradford when calling plays. The example here is, instead of calling plays like gone right 572 H arrow F9 swing. I don't know if you made that up or not, but the team will simply call Warrior instead.
No, that was a legitimate example that North Turner used in his press conference, Adam. So that's not a current Vikings play. That was an example that they would have used back in the old San Diego days. But actual play, the gone right 572 H arrow F9 was an actual play back in San Diego. So it's a little bit of the lingo that they call out in the huddle, whatnot. And yeah, they've been using code words now instead.
It baffles my brain. It makes it hurt.
It's like in basketball when we used to have inbounds plays that we knew by one name. Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a real nice way of simplifying things. You inbound the ball, you call Michigan, you know where you're supposed to go, you know what you got to do.
Yeah. Now, he said, North also said that players have to understand the code word warrior, for instance, what that translates to in the playbook, and they change the code words every week because, common opponents, Green Bay, for example, you don't want Green Bay to figure out what the code words were that we used in week 1 and then use the same words again when we play them in Lambeau Field, because then they're going to know what we're doing offensively. So they change them up. It's a simpler system, but you still have to, the playbook and also what the words mean from week to week.
Week 7, it should be all characters from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Somebody get this man a holiday. It's a genius idea.
It's got to happen. Absolutely got to happen. You're getting called out there in the chat, Mr. Smith.
For what?
Mr. Tommy Gunn says, "Oh, hi, Kyle Smith. How about those 2 useless players on the roster named Sherrills and Patterson?"
Hey, I'll take that all day long. Take it all day long. We're going to talk about that. It's going to come up in the game review here in a second.
One thing about us on the podcast, when we're wrong, we have no problem being wrong, especially when it's a pleasant kind of wrong.
Mm-hmm. I'm totally fine with being wrong about Cordero Patterson and having him being a contributor to the offense now. That is an okay kind of wrong to have.
Tommy's going to be mad at me because I'm only going to spend a couple seconds on that. But once we get in the game review, I'll tell you what Adam was talking about earlier. It's a full circle little thing I'm going to talk about. But yes, I love that being proved wrong. I'll eat crow all day long if guys are earning their check minus overpaying for someone who doesn't produce. I'll take that all day, every day.
Well, you're in luck because we are at the Week 5 game review right now.
Yeah, here we go.
And I have not prepared my stuff here, so you guys please go first. And, let's just start off with the donkeys because we all got the same guy.
And all 3 of us, it was unanimous?
TJ Cleving's got it.
Yeah. Whitney Merciless made him look silly.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful yesterday.
It was merciless on TJ Cleving's.
That was okay.
Thank you. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for listening to the Purple People Podcast.
The Vikings won yesterday 31-13. They frustrated Brock Osweiler from the first 3 quarters. There was a lot of garbage time at the end. Not the good kind of garbage time with Katie Nolan, but the kind where the Houston fans, as Adam was telling me in the message board yesterday, that they were like, "Oh, DeAndre Hopkins getting the best of Xavier Rhodes." So that's not accurate whatsoever. It's trash time. And for most
he did score a touchdown when he was on him. That is true, I guess.
You can have your touchdown. We held you to 6 points for 90% of the game. So it was pretty crazy. On the ground, it wasn't good. Jadeveon Clowney, as I was telling the guys before we got started, looked really relevant again. So poor Jerick McKinnon got swallowed up a couple times behind the line of scrimmage, which was frustrating. But through the air, have a day, Sam Bradford. And screw it. We'll talk about the wide receiver since Tommy Gunn called me out. Cordero Patterson hauled in I believe, his first receiving touchdown this year. He's been killing it in the special games or special teams game. He's been killing it, kick returning as usual. My favorite thing about yesterday and about Cordero Patterson wasn't even the touchdown grab. I love his intensity. He seems more focused this year. He seems very receptive of the team concept. But I think there was a swing pass to the right. Just immediately, Sam Bradford turns to his right and just chucks it to Cordero. It's pretty much a catch and go. And he just trucks over two of the guys. I mean, we forget how big he is sometimes. He completely leveled one guy, stepped over him, and tried to knock through another one. That's what I've been wanting to see for the better part of 3 years.
It's been a huge change in mentality and effort. It's been crazy. Before, I don't want to say half-assed, but his efforts in the run blocking game weren't really there. If he wasn't running a route where he knew he was going to get open, he didn't seem to be running at full speed. We are seeing tons of effort from this kid, and he's getting rewarded with looks and opportunities, and he's taking full advantage of them. And before this year, I was firmly on the Cordero Patterson's gone after this year. Mm-hmm. You can't pay a guy to stay in and be a special kick returner guy. He's earned it. He's going to keep earning it too. And as long as he keeps this hard-working attitude, this guy's just going to keep being the limit for the kid. I
want to segue. Sorry to interrupt, Kyle, if you wanted to jump on your boy CPAT for a second. But you know who – it's pretty funny, and now that you think about it, him and Adam Thielen are becoming kind of – not I'm going to say the same player. They're very different the way they play, but they both make lots of special team contributions, and they're kind of the under-the-radar receiving guys, even though Cordero was a first-round pick. I love them, and I know that they're locker mates, and they were on Words with Teammates and all that good stuff. So, but
they're friends off the field too.
Yeah, they're really good friends. And I like the fact that Cordero's not going to get a blockbuster deal regardless. I mean, unless he just goes off and leads the league in every category and every stat. But he's solidifying a chance to stay on the team. I know he likes the team. I know he likes the area, and yeah, I like it, man. He's just showing a lot of improvement, and a lot of the hype that I didn't get on the train with, and I'll openly admit, before the season was around him, and I was like, hey, man, I'll believe it when I see it. I've heard this before. But he's proven it right so far.
Absolutely agree. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's go with our game balls. You guys go ahead, and I'll have mine at the end here.
I'm going to give mine to Adam Thielen, who had 7 receptions, 127 yards, and 1 touchdown for the Minnesota Vikings. This is from a guy who was a walk-on the team, undrafted. Where the hell did he come from? He came from Mankato State. What are the chances of this dude being able to work his way not only up to the roster, but to be able to put up a game where he had 127 yards? That is almost unbelievable what he's been able to do for the team. His upside when we first signed him was, okay, a core special teams player for 3 to 5 years, and that's it for him. And then you say, hey, you're happy with it. Who the hell ever would have thought that we'd be getting this good of a player out of him? You talk about a guy who just put in the work and the effort all along, and it's really good, and I'm glad to see him just continue to have success for the Vikings.
Coming from off the street to John Gruden's favorite Viking.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be impressed with that kid.
Mm-hmm. I love it. He deserves the recognition. He works really hard. Underrated for sure. My game ball, second week in a row, same game ball, same donkey. Yosemite Sam Bradford. Good Lord, man. Is this guy making a case for an early MVP or what? I mean, you come to a team, you don't play the first week because you literally just got there the week before. 5 games in, he has 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Let me read off some stats yesterday. He hit 7 different receivers. He had 271 yards, 22 of 30, which is 73% completion rating, which is stupid good. And he had a quarterback rating, 123.1, what I'm reading on the Vikings app right now. 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. This dude's playing great football. He's got great accuracy. He's got a good touch. And I thought the season was doomed when Teddy went down. And I was like, well, here comes the Sean Hill Express. This just makes more and more sense every single day and every single game that passes. I'm sure he's going to hit a bump in the road sooner or later. I'm not going to say that's not going to happen. But for right now, he's playing damn good at the most crucial position, and he's barely been here a month, a little, maybe some change after that. But he's playing great, and he's beat some good teams. And don't undermine the Texans' defense. They are a good defense.
They had the number 1 pass defense coming into this game. They had only given up 1 passing touchdown coming in.
And if you guys watched the game yesterday, the first 2 drives, he was lighting them up. It kind of got stagnant a little bit through the middle of the game towards the end, but he was throwing all over the field yesterday. So, Sam Bradford, man, keep doing your thing.
I want to go a little bit different. I know that you guys both went with guys who totally deserve it. I'm going to go with, flip a coin in my head, Matt Asiata.
Fantasy points.
Now, I know it's hard to give a game ball to someone that had 55 rushing yards on 14 carries. But for the Vikings, honestly, averaging 4 yards a carry is pretty good. And finding the end zone, that's the second time the running backs have found the end zone this season. And Asiata has been sneaky good out of the backfield. He caught all 3 targets for him, 46 yards, having 100 all-purpose yards for Matt Asiata in a game where Jerick McKinnon just was not getting it done. 20 carries for McKinnon, and he ended up with 36 yards. And Matt Asiata's style, Mr. Smith and I were talking about this before coming into the game. Asiata is going to be the more effective running back against Houston. Their defense is too big, too strong, and too disciplined to allow the little shifty guys to get through. You have to smash them in the mouth. And Matt, the bowling ball Asiata, did that.
We have to give Adam a shout-out. I have Jerick McKinnon and Matt Asiata on my fantasy team, just shifting around week to week. I got rid of Sharkhandrick West because he's not doing anything any time this year. Adam made the call. I got a lot of points out of Matt Asiata. But I wanted to throw something and piggyback off of what you're saying. I was watching Russillo and Cannell today. For the Vikings to be dominating it, now you know the defense is a staple in the face of the team.
Absolutely.
Offense isn't flashy, but we're getting better week to week. And that has been seen and been noted even by the national media. You know what we're dead last in the NFL for? Rushing.
Yeah.
And we're undefeated. The only undefeated team from a team that was built around AP to just smash the ball up the middle every single time. We have 0 losses so far, knock on wood, and we have the worst rushing attack. This is just the weirdest year of football I can remember in a long time. But, hey, we're on the winning side of it, so I'll take it.
It almost doesn't even feel like Vikings football. It's shifted that much. It wasn't that long ago where the Vikings would have a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and the defense, you knew they were just going to give it right up.
Yep.
This defense ain't giving nothing up, and with the offense coming out and scoring some points right away, it put the Texans in a huge hole, and they only ran the ball 14 times in the game because they were trying to catch up. And how often have the Vikings been in position offensively where they scored early, and then the defense was able to kind of sit back and look at what the quarterback was doing and really just take DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller right out of the game. I was terrified that Will Fuller's speed against Terrence Newman was going to be a matchup that was going to be exploited by the Texans. There would be some long bombs, and Fuller would be able to take advantage of them. Well, Fuller did have one chance at a long pass, and it bounced off his hands. Thank goodness.
Yeah, it was crazy how much they have a lot of weapons, man. I knew I wasn't. I'm not going to try to like toot my own horn here, but I didn't believe in Brock Osweiler. I didn't believe in the trade. I think he would have succeeded in Denver because they have a better defense. But you knew the key was to frustrate him because he's not an all-star quarterback, and he had little playing time last year as is. but they've got some weapons, man. I was really worried about Terrence Newman getting burned yesterday because it didn't matter which side you put him on. Both of those guys are really good receivers, but they held up pretty well. Like I said, garbage time. DeAndre Hopkins got a touchdown in the fourth quarter, whatever. We already knew we were going to win the game. So
I was expecting Fuller to get some looks like Ginn did with the Panthers, and it really did not happen.
Crazy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Shifting, if you want to shift to this just for special teams for a minute, Blair didn't miss anything yesterday.
Nothing.
I like it. It's good job, Blair Walsh, man. Gain your confidence back.
My buddy Clinton wanted to point out, too, that Jeff Locke has been playing a lot better as a punter this season. I know last year and even through some of the year before that, people were all over Jeff Locke about his punting. And he said, well, nobody's talking about Jeff Locke anymore. I said, that's a good thing.
Hey, it helps Jeff Locke to have him indoors as well too. I can't imagine it was easy trying to punt out there on that frozen football field that we were playing at TCF. So getting him indoors, that helps him out too. I wish.
And changing up that technique had to help too. He's really finding his way through. Now, if we can get Blair to keep just trucking on through, things will be looking pretty good. The other guy I was considering giving my game ball to was Andrew Sendejo.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, I love giving awards to people who are all over the football field. And Sendejo is one of those guys, too, that people just don't seem to like on a regular basis. And when he does play well, people don't really give him the recognition he deserves. Sendejo might be the weak link in the secondary in some cases, but this game he was all over the place. He intercepted Brock Osweiler once, and he tied for the lead in tackles. I really like what Sendejo brings. I do feel like they will upgrade on him in the future, and Sendejo will be able to return to a spot where he can go back to playing special teams at a high level and be a rotational backup guy, because the Vikings love switching in and out. Those guys keep them fresh on defense, and that has been a recipe for success in the past this season so far.
The important thing to remember about guys like Andrew Sendejo is that this is not Leslie Frazier's Tampa 2. And we've seen so much of the Tampa 2 defense here in Minnesota of just guys getting burned and not using them to their full strength. I mean, for Christ's sake, they had Harrison Smith playing 30 yards back off the line of scrimmage, just constantly just not doing anything, just idling back there in that Tampa 2 defense. The way Mike Zimmer calls things is that he's able to plug and play players and use them to their potential. And the way they're using Andrew Sendejo now, they're maximizing his talents out there on the field, and they're putting him in positions to succeed. Where in the past, when we're running that Tampa 2 defense, players were not put in positions to succeed. They were put out there to fail. And that's my honest opinion on how the defense used to be ran. So it's some of the guys that were carryovers from this time that were not the superstars, like you knew Harrison Smith would be fine. You knew Everson Griffin would be fine. But it's fun to see Mike Zimmer be able to maximize some of the other guys that maybe you were worried about. So I like it. I like his play on the field. It's he is an underrated part of this defense. I agree with you, Adam.
But enough about the Vikings, on to Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Yeah, let's talk about the Patriots.
We had a request for that in the chat there to talk about Tom Brady and the Patriots. They love when people talk about Brady when there's an undefeated team in the NFL and everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the way they were able to beat the winless Cleveland Browns, who were on like their fourth-string quarterback. I mean, that is really some Hall of Fame stuff that they did in beating the Cleveland Browns.
No taking away from Brady. It was impressive. Come on.
I think the season should just be over with, and we should just bow down to the Patriots.
You better watch that now, because if we ended up meeting them in the Super Bowl, you're going to be pissed off having to play Bill Belichick. That's the team I don't want to play. I'll tell you that much.
No, the team to beat in the AFC, that's for sure.
It's been a crazy week. There's already guys getting fired around the NFL. Tom Brady came back. It's a weird weekend.
Absolutely. We still got more football to go.
I put this defense against the Patriots offense. That'd be fun.
It could happen.
It'd be fun. I'd bet on the Vikings
They're
defense.
one of 3 teams that I think from the AFC that'll go. They're definitely up there, but they're up there every year. It's the same friggin' teams every year. It's crazy.
There was a pretty good point in the chat here. Tommy Gunn says that a safety leading the team in tackles generally isn't a good thing. It is when the safety doesn't always play back. If you're in I know that you know exactly what I'm talking about. I know you said generally, yeah, but it is a situation where Vikings defense, really the position titles are just titles. You have no idea where these players are going to be all the time. They shift people enough. They'll drop a linebacker into coverage, bring a safety on a blitz. I love all the weird exotic looks that Zimmer gives, and putting these players in different positions to just throw off people is so much fun. It is. It's so much fun. But when you look at who all led the team in tackles, the 3 people that were tied, Munnerlyn, Sendejo, Harrison Smith. And let's be honest, a lot of those Harrison Smith tackles were near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he was having a day yesterday. I was just going to say the defense as a whole, man, the line was frustrating. Osweiler, I was going to give a shout out to Everson Griffin too. When you have a good game, which he usually does, minus the penalties, man. We had a lot of penalties yesterday. That was the biggest frustrating factor watching it. I was on Vikings.com. It just randomly showed up in my news feed about him getting to FaceTime Deion Sanders. So that was pretty cool. You guys should check that out. Mike Zimmer pops in. He's like, "Are you talking to Prime right now?" Just one of those like cool fan moments. If you're a fan watching, you're like, man, that's pretty sweet. But just random.
Everson Griffin is so good of a player that I feel like we kind of forget to mention him sometimes because you just assume, oh, he's going to have like a really good game for the team. And
I feel the same way about Harrison Smith and Anthony Barr too. These 3 guys, when they have a good game, people just brush it off. They're like, well, that's who they are.
Yeah, like that's what they do every week. They do this.
Right?
But
you know who else is having a really good game?
You shouldn't sell any of them short.
No.
Who else is having a good game yesterday? Should have had a pick too. Eric Kendricks, man. We have such a damn good mix of starters on the defense.
He had a nice bounce back. He was, in the Giants game, he had some missed tackles, some open field tackles and stuff that he had missed, and he definitely back to form for what I would expect from him.
I considered giving my game ball to Brian Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
He was consistently getting pressure from the edge, and he got in the quarterbacks. I believe he had 3 hits or so on Osweiler, brought him down twice, and got pressures several other times. He had a motor that just would not quit that game. When you rotated him and Danielle Hunter, who came in, Danielle Hunter had a sack. It was just amazing to watch this defensive line play. And when you have such talented athletic people in the secondary, along with offensive line or defensive line that can take advantage of an offensive line the way that they did, and then you got Brock Osweiler back there who struggled to throw for over 50% in this game. I mean, he was 19 for 42.
He looked confused. Just flat out confused.
I don't know if he's ever seen anything like that in his life.
No. What the Texans pay him? Good grief.
Too much.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem is to get a quarterback that can win you games in the NFL, you have to make a big gamble, whether it's trading up to the first round to get a top draft pick or trying to get a free agent that has shown success in the past. That's the NFL the way it is today, and they had to throw that money down to get him. There were competing offers. There were.
I wouldn't say I'm going to get bored. I don't get bored during the show. I have a squirrel brain and ADHD, and it kicks in. I looked up Danielle Hunter because I keep hearing his name every week, as we should, because he's such a freak athlete. He had 6 sacks last year, and I don't think he started every game, but through this season, out of 16 games, he had 6 sacks. We're 5 games in, and he already has 4. So
oh yeah,
that's going to segue into the bold statement later. We can throw that out there now. I think he'll end up with a double-digit sacks this year. That dude's a monster, man. And he's not even a starter. It's insane. Where do they find these people, man?
These rotations that Zimmer gets are just amazing.
Keep drafting like this. Please keep drafting like this.
The other thing to note about the offense is that the offense has yet to have a single turnover going into the bye week, which is
Knocking on wood.
unbelievable. The only turnover came from Andrew Sendejo trying to return a fumble.
That was awesome.
So the offense is being very efficient. The defense smothering everything. And now that this efficient offense, we all knew that Sam Bradford had, just an accurate arm. There's a reason why he holds the Eagles franchise record for completion percentage in a season. But he came in and he showed why. And now, as he's getting more comfortable, you're seeing him let it fly a little bit more often. And he's not targeting, only a certain couple receivers that he has faith in to go up and get the ball. He's just tossing it up to whoever he thinks is open.
Well, you know what you said before when we got him? I think your favorite thing that you saw about him that was underrated was the what was it?
I love the play action.
The play action, that was it. You know what else I've been seeing week to week as I'm watching the plays progress? His ability to read the best matchups. Like yesterday, when Thielen got his touchdown, the first touchdown of the game, he just burned the corner that he was on. The guy didn't read. He thought he was going to go inside. Adam Thielen ends up cutting it back out to the edge, and he's gone. And Sam picked that up immediately. Like he's got the accuracy and the touch. We all can agree on that, and I think he knows that as well. And just coming in, learning the verbiage, learning the offense, but the way that he's ready the way he can read the matchups is the thing that's sticking out the most to me, which is pretty crazy.
Bradford has a unique thing where if you watch his head, he'll look at the matchup he likes, and he'll immediately look off of it. He'll know where that receiver is going, and he'll look back and he'll let it rip.
Mm-hmm.
One of the major problems Christian Ponder had is that he would stare down that receiver. And it made that entire play so easy because those safeties, you might think they're watching the play develop or anything, but they are watching the quarterback's head. So when Bradford looks and then looks away and then looks back, boom, he's got that pass. And it's so much fun to see. And when you can play action and get that safety to bite just a touch forward, like what happened on that Adam Thielen play, he realized that, he saw it, and he let it rip. And it was just so much fun to watch.
It's crazy, man. Like I said, this is one of the weirdest seasons ever, but it's all coming together nicely. It's a good Cinderella story thus far.
Absolutely. Next week, of course, the Vikings have their bye week, so we're going to be having a pretty light little episode here. We'll probably, I don't know, just BS about Vikings football like we usually do.
We'll do something fun. I don't know what fun means or how to define that, but it'll be fun.
I guess you're predicting fun over there.
Coming back for the Eagles game, because that's who we have next. We have 2 road games. We're at the Eagles, at the Bears. I think we might have our first Sharif Floyd sighting of the season, which will be exciting to have. I guess, and total guess here, but I think he would be back. I'm pretty confident that Stephon Diggs will be back as well. So getting these key starters back will be fun. Alex Boone's been nursing a hip injury, even though I believe he played yesterday. Just you got to give him time to rest up and heal. I really wish this bye week was 2 weeks later than it is, to be right in the middle of the season or close to it, but you got to take what you can get in. And at least we don't have that stupid London trip this year.
I don't know, man. Considering all the injuries that we've had and the depleted depth, this is a good time for the bye week because it gives players time to heal up, take a break. Also gives them time. It's before the trade deadline. I know that we're essentially, with what we gave up for Sam Bradford, we're kind of out of ammo.
Yeah, pretty handcuffed right now.
To really trade for anything unless you're talking about a player, and I really don't know what players that they would be getting rid of at this point.
Well, let's be honest. There are a couple teams that have already been firing their coaches and maybe already laying their hands on the table and getting ready to cash out for the season. So you never know what can happen. But
I mean, maybe, but it's a good time for the bye week, I think.
I think that if the opportunity came up, the Vikings probably wouldn't have a problem laying down some more draft picks to bring in guys because they are ready to win now. They are. Mm-hmm. And giving up that first to me really showed me that the commitment is there, and I think they'll do anything they can to get the wins.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Lots of people.
It probably wouldn't sit well with a lot of fans, but making it to the Super Bowl this year probably would shut a lot of those people up. So I don't know. That I'm pretty sure that we all agree, and I think the Vikings management say that it's pretty much the end goal right now. So
That should always be your goal, no matter what.
Now I think it seems much more attainable with the
Right.
depth that we have, the coaching staff that we have. I mean, you were talking about yesterday. Well, just to go off on a little rant about how crazy the coaching thing is. Norv Turner, Mike Zimmer, Sperano, Spagnolia. You got to think of all these guys. All these guys minus Zimmer, this being his first stint. I think Norv had the biggest stretch of like 12 or something years, but there's almost 20 years worth of head coaching experience, and that's just the staff under Zimmer. So, with everything that we have in place, like that's a good point. I love that point you made, Adam, because I wouldn't mind seeing him give up one or another pick or two if you get in a really good talent, because it's pretty much win now or bust, and it's working out pretty well so far.
Now, what's funny is people are saying, "Oh, the window's closing up for the Vikings because of Adrian Peterson."
No, it's not.
I'm not buying that.
I disagree.
Not buying that one bit.
I think we were already on the rise with Teddy's progression. Teddy went down. Obviously, we got somebody to fill in who's as good or maybe better, question mark. It starts there. You've got to have a good coach to push people. You've got to have guys buy into the ideology of we're not going to do it for stats, we're going to do it for wins. And every single one of those things is pretty obvious that everyone's bought into. Now you just got to have depth and hope the injury bug doesn't keep biting you. The formula we have is excellent. And I never thought I'd say that with AP and Teddy going down. I've been saying it every episode since the season started. But it seems like we're okay without them. And I'm not saying that we don't love them, that we don't want them back on the team. That's not what I'm saying. But just look at the offense is where I look at the most. I was never worried about the defense. Zimmer's going to make it magic over there. But the way that Norv Turner sets this up, the quarterback that you have and the guys on the outside that you have to catch the ball, it's perfect for what he does. We didn't necessarily have that element before, and now it seems to be working out perfect. So I don't know. I do want to get into that in a little bit, though, with the bold statement and Tommy Gunn calling me out, man. I'm glad you said that. I don't really dog on Marcus Sherrills as much as I do CPAT, but now it's starting to become we're getting kind of spoiled. If Patterson's not running it back for a kick return that week, then I'm kind of expecting Sherrills to run one back for a punt return because they just seem to bounce off it every other week. We usually have one or the other, so it's pretty crazy.
I admit I didn't see the point in having both of them on the roster. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Patterson's establishing himself as more of a wide receiver threat, now I can justify two. Yep.
Sherrill's a good all-purpose guy. Patterson's finally fallen into his role, like you said, as a receiver. Man, I'm still salivating at the mouth thinking about him catching the ball and just trucking people. That's what I've been waiting to see.
Patterson, as a gunner on special teams, too, has just been so much fun to watch. He is down there right in that returner's face right before the ball even gets there. It's amazing.
It's good use of it, man. Shout out to Rick Prefer on that, or Mike Prefer, sorry.
So much fun to watch. We did miss one quick hit when I was reading through. The Vikings have partnered with Snapchat and Tagboard. I don't know what Tagboard is. To become the first team in the NFL to display Snapchat photos and videos from the team's official account on the scoreboards and US Bank Stadium. I got to see this for the Vikings home opener, and it was really cool because there were fans that took their pictures either in the stadium, outside, with their face paint, or in a big group of fans or doing something silly. And there were big squares on the screen of each little person from their Snapchat doing some pretty cool stuff. And I know I sound like an old person right now. I know I do, but it was neat to see that kind of technology and the fans getting recognized on the big screen. I really enjoyed that.
I love that Snapchat's taken over, and like I was bragging for the Panthers game. When you guys go to these Vikings games, if any of you guys go, send it to us. We'll share it on the page. Make sure when you hold down, after you've taken your photo, hold your finger down if you're not, up to speed on Snapchat. Swipe left and right. You can actually check in at that location. It tracks your GPS. And you can check in when you're at the stadium, like I did with the Panthers game. It'll tell you the score, the final. It'll say whatever on there, and you can get featured on there, which is really, really cool. But I had no idea they were doing that kind of stuff. That should be around the NFL at every game. And you know what I love about Snapchat when they do stories like that? They don't just show the home team, because I was at, like I said, the Panthers game. It wasn't just Panther fans. They showed an equal amount of Viking and Panther fans, which is pretty cool. So I think that'll be like pretty dominant here in the future in the next year or two.
Absolutely. I love any time you can get fans involved in sports because, let's be honest, it's the fans that keep everything going. It really is. They're the ones buying the tickets. They're the ones buying the merchandise, watching on TV, getting that advertising revenue. They're the ones making it. Yes, they are. Social media question. When you guys got that?
Kyle, you're still muted, man. Did we figure that out yet?
I don't know if we figured out one, but we will eventually at some point.
All right, so I'm assuming we do not have one then.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to go to the podcast page and look it up from last week.
All right, in the meantime, let's talk about the Survival League. This week we had 2 players get some strikes. Kieran's Vikings and Northern Horns both failed to make a selection, so they received a strike. A majority of people this week chose the New England Patriots to beat the Cleveland Browns, which was a pretty solid pick. 2 other people chose the Steelers to win, and with that, people move on to the next week. Nobody was eliminated this week, and I will say that I've started getting some of the prizes in, and I've showed them to some of the guys, and one of the guys already ordered exactly what it was that I got the winner. So I got to say, whoever wins is going to be happy. But remember, this year you got to beat me. You got to do it.
That's fair. If you're gonna keep throwing out the gifts out there, I think it's fair that you can play. Don't forget, like you guys, like Adam was saying a couple weeks ago, don't forget, just like your fantasy football league, it's pretty much the same thing. Don't forget to update your roster and everything. That'd be a shame if you lose because you beat yourself.
It's so much fun in a survival league because you can't pick another team once you've picked them. And that's why it keeps getting harder and harder and harder. And I love it.
I'm looking through here, guys. I'm not seeing the one from this past week. So we will have to scratch that and save it for another time.
Sounds great.
But if you guys want to, since we've already went over, we talked about the Texan game. We're 5-0. We're going to the bye week. We're going to get healthy. We're going to get some guys back. The next test is going to be huge. And I know they just came off of a loss. I was so rooting for the Lions yesterday to hand the Eagles a loss. I'm not on the Carson Wentz train like the rest of the world is. Everybody wants to hand that kid MVP already. I think the Vikings defense is going to make him very uncomfortable and show his rookie status. Don't let the Eagles team, just like I said, the Texans team, don't sleep on the Eagles. Jim Schwartz is the defensive coordinator, the former head coach of the Lions. You remember back when they had Sue, they were a defensive juggernaut. They made it to the playoffs while he was there. Don't sleep on this team, and it is on the road. The next 2 games are on the road, so I'm just letting you guys know for that. Like Adam said, the next show is going to be pretty light because we don't have a game, but that's going to be a test for us. You know, we're the number 1 team in the league with a target on our back now that we're undefeated, and that's gonna be a heck of a game, man. That could really shape things later on as far as the playoff scenario goes. But I think it's a winnable game based on who we're playing. But they have a really, really good squad, and they only have 1 loss, so it's gonna be crazy coming up thinking about it.
Kyle Smith, I got a question for you in the chat room.
Oh man,
this one comes from Fire Breather 719.
All right,
he wants to know, or she, maybe I don't know, are you related to Andre Smith?
You know what? In a distant other life, yes, we are about 43rd or 42nd cousins. So yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
I told my mom and dad that. My
question about John Carlson.
That was always the best. That was the best joke on the show. And you everybody told me I should go buy a Harrison Smith joke.
Yeah, how about Harrison Smith? You related to Harrison Smith?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was best. I forgot about John Carlson being on the team. God, that was awesome.
You still got that Carlson jersey, Adam?
Oh yes, still undefeated wearing it too.
Yeah,
but I only wear it on special occasions now.
So random segue since we did it earlier, and I kind of spoiled it, but It was great. I was thinking while I was clicking around here, I was like, man, I need to have something good for the show this week. My bold statement of the week. Danielle Hunter has 4 sacks through 5 games, and he had 6 total last year. I am totally confident that in the next 10 games, 11 games that we have, he's going to get double-digit sacks. The man's a freak. So there you go. Bold statement. Danielle Hunter will have 10 or more sacks on the season.
So you're predicting 6 sacks in the next 11 games? That's not bold, man.
Hey, man, it's safe, though.
That ain't bold. That ain't bold. That ain't hot. That's none of that.
I think the only reason I'm claiming it for a bold statement is because he's not a starter. I expect it from Everson. Hell, I even expect close numbers from Brian Robinson, even though he's getting up there. He's a rotational guy. Eventually, he will outseat Brian Robinson, but he's still not the starter.
Now, if you say double digits from all 3 of them, then we're talking.
Holy shit. I didn't say that. Not yet.
Now, that'd be a little bolder.
It feels like that this would be the year and the time to say that, but I think that's a little too much. I'm on the safe side of this bet, but yeah, through 5 games, the man's already almost matching his numbers from last year, so I think it's a safe bet to say.
Well, this isn't a safe bet take. Come on, man. Come on.
I gotta have something for the week
What we need is
that.
we need some Tommy Gunn hot takes. That's what we need. He's got the hottest takes of all takes.
Yeah, Tommy, you had no problem calling me out earlier. Give us a hot take, man. You're on fire today.
He does. He is the hottest of all hot takes.
They're not even hot. They're hot.
Oh, yeah. And I do want to let you guys know that I am still operating over there on the Viking Age. We are still looking for some help over there. If you like writing about the Vikings, head on over there, fill out an application. Or you can message me. I'm on the Viking Age's Twitter at the Viking Age.
You can call Adam Carlson at 293. I don't know what your phone number is.
Call Adam at 911. Tell him it's an emergency.
No,
Yeah.
No, don't do that.
It's a joke.
Have your
That's
pet spayed and neutered.
It's an Ace Ventura joke, ladies and gentlemen.
Timely with our jokes here at the podcast.
Absolutely. But looking back now, it is pretty fun to see the Vikings sitting as the only undefeated team left. It was weird watching after the Vikings game, checking out the Lions getting their win, and then the Falcons getting their win,
Mm-hmm.
and then just watching social media explode.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't help it. I got in on the love too over on the Viking Ages Facebook page. I posted how many undefeated teams are left in the NFL. One, and it was Everson Griffin with his finger in the air, of course. It's so much of a fun time to be a Vikings fan right now that it helps to make up for the times when there were actually times when Mr. West and I dreaded doing some of these shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we looked at it and we thought, man, I don't even want to talk about this mess. But fans, that's the way fans are. There's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times. And right now is a very, very good time to be a Viking.
You know what I've noticed too around the area here in Virginia, where I'm at for the next couple weeks, till I head down to El Paso. If there's any El Paso Viking fans gonna be down there, let me know. I was in the grocery store before the show started, and I saw a young lady with her Viking shirt on, and I just love it. Every time I see a Vikings fan, I always say hello to them. I always say Skull, and I was just like, man, this is pretty neat. All these Viking fans have been waiting to wear their shirts out in public and not be embarrassed. This is the year. So, I don't know. It's pretty good. Like you said, like the atmosphere for a fan is a lot better than it has been.
It is. There were too many periods there as a Vikings fan where it wasn't really. Most Vikings fans were not ever shameful to wear their colors out, but there were plenty of times when you definitely second guessed whether you wanted to or not. Now, the bandwagon's going to be filling up again, and until the Vikings lose, or I don't know what happens, but the fandom's just going to keep growing and growing. We got some bold statements now in the chat. We bought enough time here. Eric Spink says his not so bold statement is that Zimmer is going to be the coach of the year. And there's a pretty good chance of that. I'd say he should definitely be in the running.
I have a bold statement, but I don't want to say it and curse the team, so I will wait for it because I'm very semi-superstitious. But I have one for you, but we will save that for a
Does it
later.
involve Blair Walsh
What's that?
and a missed field goal?
Absolutely.
Does it involve a missed field goal?
I stopped that at Blair Walsh train because I don't want that to become reality. I'll just say
one of my favorite shows. I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious.
There you go.
Yeah.
I will say, and you guys can pick up what I'm putting down. If you look at the schedule that we have coming up, we have a very favorable schedule. I'm going to leave it at that. Very favorable schedule. So I'm going to leave that there. No, I'm not saying the undefeated word. We are going to lose a game this year. I promise you. And just accept it now. And it might even be an ugly loss to a team that probably shouldn't beat us. Maybe, who knows. But our schedule is very, very favorable, considering the obstacles we've already overcame so far. So just keep that in mind.
There was an article over there on, I believe it was the Star Tribune, that said the Vikings are in cruise control. Now the easy part of their schedule is over. And I disagree with that so much. I mean, there are so many challenges coming up. And each team has so many unique things about them that it's going to make it real hard for the Vikings. So I'm not one of those where I'll look at a schedule and be like, oh, things look so good coming up. I'll never be that way. Even if the Browns were coming up next week, I'll be like, hey, any given Sunday, you know?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't think we're going to go undefeated. I think the schedule is in our favor. I think we have a lot of teams that are going to struggle. Some teams are having quarterback shifts. I do think we're going to win our division again. I totally believe that. But based on the other teams that we have to go visit, I know we play Arizona. They were in the NFC Championship game last year. And the Eagles are 3-1, and we got them coming up. I mean, there are still challenges. Sure.
I like the Bears coming up twice. I like that.
Yes, I do.
That organization's a mess right now.
They're terrible, and I feel bad for Bears fans. Yeah.
Tommy Gunn says the 84 Bears hold the record for most sacks in a season at 72. Hot take. The 2016 Vikings break that record with 75.
Touche. Not even going one up. You're going 3 over it. Hell yeah. Good job, Tommy Gunn.
You got to love that.
I hope you're right, man. 100% I hope you're right.
That is all I have for this week. You guys got anything else you want to add in?
Nope. It's the fall season heading up. We got the bye week here, so it's going to be a short show next week. If the guys are in favor, I'll put you on the spot now. I don't feel like doing a show until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday next week. And it's going to give us time to have more material. It's going to be a short show next week, so don't expect too much because we're not playing. But if you can see right here, ever since I started using my Safari on my Mac, this little guy works out great. So check out my music page. Moving soon. I actually just bought a brand new guitar that's sitting right in front of me, so I'll be playing some tunes for you here soon on that. But go check out the stuff. I post stuff weekly, maybe stuff from the past, share it around. Just what I do for fun outside of military and talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, next week we're going to try to be extra interactive. So bring your friends over. We'll talk about football and answer your questions from the chat. We'll ask you guys some questions. We'll get some takes from you. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And Kyle West loves fun.
I do. I like fun.
He's a big fan of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Go buy Kyle West stuff. I don't know if his website's up yet or not, but he's selling stuff.
But we apparently, all three of us, can't have the little bar thingies down at the bottom working. I don't know why, but mine's just like, nope.
I promise you, when I move into
show up.
place, I'm gonna have a little sign that I'm just gonna hold up at the very end, so you guys can have. You guys make your living off the internet. I'm gonna move mine down. So you can see.
Oh, the internet! I tell you.
Well,
fun. On that note, I'd like to thank everyone for listening. We are the Purple People Podcast. You can hit me up on the Viking Age, Undead Walking for all your zombie loving needs. You got Skate Cow over there if you like your music. Hit up Kyle West if you want to look at some photography and maybe buy some artwork. And in the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.